A weird girl in a Shinigami costume, named Guri, visits the doorstep of Aino Seiji and claims that he needs to kiss her in the next 24 hours or else he will die. As any sane man would do, Seiji doesn't take her words seriously and slams the door right on her face, hilariously ignoring her. Guri proves that she is not human, and Seiji ends up reluctantly letting her in, so she can further elaborate on the nonsense from earlier. Guri claims the same thing to be true while adding the condition of 24 hours on it, getting Seiji's hopes up. Seiji takes his shot after losing his cool, but loses it when Guri reveals that her motive was to get Seiji in a relationship with someone on her kiss note, or else she would end up dying. The next day arrives, and Guri follows Seiji to his school, looking to find some purpose for her kiss note, which is obviously not inspired by a favorite anime of most of us. Guri's attention lands upon a nice-looking girl, Akane Hiyama, who follows up the pattern of the show so far and turns out to be a maniac carrying knives to school. She gets even more pissed after Seiji escapes, taking Guri with him. Seiji tries to reason with Akane, but our yandere is locked onto shredding Guri to pieces, displaying some inhuman strength. Akane calms down when Guri pairs her with Seiji on the kiss note, and Guri proceeds to claim that she is an angel who was just cosplaying as a Shinigami so far. Seiji wakes up the next day in his room, hoping that whatever just happened was just a dream, but to his dismay, it turns out that luck wasn't really on his side. Guri also started living with Seiji, claiming that she has also become a part of the group. Guri had hypnotized Seiji's parents into accepting her with some sort of gadget, causing poor Seiji to be even more worried now. Guri also introduces another angel that is supposedly a cat with a man's face named Coralie. I genuinely have no idea about how we're supposed to react to whatever Coralie is. Seiji proceeds to attend school despite the weird incidents, and his luck continues to go against him when he comes to know that since Guri is a lazy angel, he will have to help her with her tasks regarding the kiss note. Seiji is hanging around with Guri on the school staircase when a girl named Yuzu gets upset after finding the two together. She falls on top of Seiji and proceeds to run away after stealing the kiss note for some reason. Seiji follows Yuzu on the rooftop, and the blondie turns out to be not normal as well when she falls down from what appears to be a magical barrier activation. Seiji tries to help Yuzu, but Akane's sixth sense leads the crazy girl to arrive from out of nowhere in her quest to maintain her connection with Seiji. Yuzu is revealed to be Akane's sister, and things get even weirder for Seiji as Guri ends up writing Yuzu's name on the kiss note as well after hearing her request. Sometime later, outside the Hiyama residence, Yuzu is seen as she eagerly waits to get a glimpse of Akane, who has already left the house, while at the Aino residence, we meet Seiji's little sister, Akua, who doesn't seem to be much fond of her brother. Akua throws Seiji out of front gate and is seen by Akane while doing so. Akane is almost about to rip Akua's head off as well before Seiji calms her down by letting her know of the situation. Seiji and Akane arrive at school together where Guri and Yuzu are running some sort of love consultation session. I really don't know what they're trying to do here. Seiji and Akane are moving forward after looking at this love consultation center when they come across the class rep, Marie, who seems to be having a thing for her teacher. How chaotic things are gonna get. Guri and Yuzu found a letter that was written by a teacher named Kusunoki, who had entered the room Guri and Yuzu were in, looking for his letter. Our sensei showed a hike in the heart rate when Marie entered the room, giving the love group exactly what they needed to pass the time today. Seiji tries to convince the others in a little meeting afterwards to not get involved with the matter, but the obvious happens, and no one listens to him. Poor Seiji. Seiji later comes across Marie on a roof and confronts her about the same issue where Marie gives an unclear answer, leading Kusunoki-sensei, who was eavesdropping, to confusion. Guri comes up with some sort of master plan all by herself and tries to scare Marie to make Kusunoki rescue her later. Marie's plan ends up failing when actual robbers from a bank nearby end up taking both Marie and Guri as hostages. Seiji arrives with Yuzu, and since Seiji is not strong enough to fight them off, he tries to reason with the robbers. The robbers end up shooting at Yuzu, who gets saved by Seiji as he gets scraped from the shot. Kusunoki arrives at the venue, and despite being weak, hits the robbers regardless, just to save Marie. He turns out to be way too quick compared to what anyone would have imagined though, and ends up getting even the robber embarrassed from what he just had witnessed. The commotion is still going on when our female demon arrives at the scene, wandering from who knows where, and gets angry at the robbers for hurting Seiji. Akane yet again displays her monstrous strength and ends up getting even the police officers trembling from her ruthless act of violence. The scene wraps up with a happy ending for our weak sensei, as Marie agrees that she'd progress further in life alongside him after she graduates from high school. Akane gets chased by public media, and she runs towards Seiji as usual, making Akua pissed, who was watching from the sidelines. Akua wakes up in the next day at her place, while dreaming about her childhood with Seiji when she got along well with him. She begins her day by rubbing toothpaste in Seiji's eyes after ranting about how he has too many girlfriends. Seiji is still wondering about the situation at school when Akane scares the crap out of him after pulling up with a mega lunchbox. Seiji's luck finally shines as Akane had brought normal food with her this time. What an absurd lunchbox. Anyway, outside the school, Akua, who is just walking around, gets approached by Yuzu, who claims that she wants to be friends with Akua as they both are bothered with Seiji. Guri joins the other two, and with surge of emotions, Akua ends up talking out loud about what seems to be a brother complex at the very least. I'm not even surprised after spending this much time into the show at this point. The girls get disturbed by a monster called Stolas, who pops out in the middle of the street out of nowhere. Upon the first glance of Stolas, Yuzu starts to run for her life, while Akua gets too scared to even move a muscle. Yuzu, who was running like a maniac, is about to fall down when Seiji saves her and heads instantly to help Akua after coming to know about the scene. We moved from Yuzu to Akua, who had climbed a tree from her fear and remembered the childhood dream again, when she had once jumped down into Seiji's arms back in the day. Guri, who was bragging, gets knocked by Stolas before he starts to approach Akua, but Seiji arrives, telling his sister to have faith in him and jump down. Akua believes Seiji's words, and the siblings recreate the moments from back in time. Seiji carries his sister on his back as the two return to their place after finally warming up to each other. The next day, Guri requests Seiji to take her around the city, on what she assumes to be a date at the very least. The two have fun around town and end up coming to a park that is full of couples. Guri's eyes spark upon witnessing such a moment, and just then, the pair finds a playboy who got caught by all of the women he was playing at the same time. The guy shows disrespect towards women, so Mr. Goody Two-Shoes Seiji intervenes in their personal matters to save a woman. Seiji's kindness, though, happens to be not so long-lasting, as the women seem to be from Akane's tribe and literally destroy the guy who was cheating on them, with Seiji receiving some treatment for no apparent reason. Seiji somehow gets out of the fight and is spectating at a distance with Guri, when the two suddenly realize that the kiss note had been burned. The pair returns to Seiji's place where they have a chat with the cat guy, Coralie, about what would happen to the pairs that were bound with the note. Coralie gives an unclear answer, something like this had never happened before, causing Seiji to attend class in doubt. Seiji gets a little troubled when Akane starts acting cold towards him, making him believe that something might actually be wrong. The volume of his headaches increase when Guri reveals that she will be attending school as well. The matter gets quite unclear as Seiji meets Yuzu afterwards to get to know that she is acting just like usual. Guri takes help from a woman named Tiara, another one of Guri's kind, and she reveals that no such thing as a relationship breaking up can happen from destroying the kiss note. She gives her own device similar to the kiss note to Guri, and Guri getting back to work is celebrated by Akane, who greets her with a dagger on the forehead. Classic Akane right there. Akane approaches Seiji and stabs him multiple times, remarking that Seiji is dumb for not finding out that she was just acting all along. While our crew's chaos is going on in the middle of the park, we get to witness a girl with glasses who is staring at the rest with some sort of ulterior motive. A little memory shows Yuzu's childhood about how her mother always told her to stay away from her sister Akane. We witness Yuzu getting her doll thrown away by a pink-haired girl. In the present, we come across Guri and Seiji, who had just found out about the fact that Yuzu actually belongs to a different school made for rich ladies. Guri wastes no time following Yuzu inside, while Seiji gets stopped and questioned by a lady who is quite suspicious of him. Yuzu seems to be waiting for someone when Guri calls her out, and we get surprised once again as it turns out that Yuzu has been sneaking out of her own school just to spy on Akane, using someone else who looks nothing like her as her alias. Yuzu takes Guri along with her to her usual Akane spy routine, and Guri shows some features of her new device, including a love detection meter. Yuzu, who was already disappointed at the meter, gets called out by Akane, who already knew that she had been spying on her, and Akane proceeded to tell her about staying away, making little Yuzu quite sad. Yuzu runs away in tears to the bank of a river, where a random creepy old man approaches her with unclear intentions. Yuzu activates her shield to knock the old dude down, but ends up falling into the river herself after not controlling her strength at all. Yuzu gets saved by Seiji, who arrives and jumps into the river, but gets angry at Seiji for no reason, throwing the poor guy in the river again. She rants about her relationship with Akane, and Seiji reassures her about Akane not hating her. Akane arrives with an umbrella and reassures Yuzu about her being able to stick close to her if she wants to, after she makes a little fun of her. While all this is going on, a girl having braids with glasses is shown to be having an eye on our group with unclear motives. With the Yuzu matter somewhat sorted, Seiji attends school again the next day and is roaming around the hallway with Guri when they get approached by the same girl with braids, who requests some sort of love help from them. She introduces herself as Shiramine Shikimi and succeeds in making the two meet her after school for the same reason. Seiji ends up catching a fever on the same day, and Akane's closeness with him raises the usual envy inside every other guy in his class. With Guri not being around, Seiji meets up with Shikimi alone and tells her that his group of the Harem is actually completely mortal by mistake. Guri realizes that her kiss note is missing, while Seiji continues to follow Shikimi to some ruined factory that would only attract a homicidal maniac. Guri reports the situation back to Akane and Yuzu, making Akane show her devilish nature yet again. Shikimi ends up trapping Seiji as expected, and turns out to be the same pink-haired girl from earlier who was stalking him all along, and begins torturing Seiji while asking him about how Guri's immortality actually works after showing the kiss note that was stolen earlier. While looking for Seiji, Guri mentions Shikimi's name to the other two, making Akane extremely angry, and Yuzu trembles from fear, signaling that the sisters were after all related to Shikimi previously. As Shikimi is proceeding with her torture, Akane pulls up to the building and gets inside after breaking the wall, claiming that Shikimi is actually hers and Yuzu's cousin. Akane gets angry as usual after witnessing Seiji's condition, but ends up getting restrained by Shikimi, who uses her own ability. Shikimi notices a sudden change in Akane's behavior and decides to fix it by getting rid of Seiji, who was making Akane soft. Seiji's execution is saved by Guri, who arrives in a crab costume, and Shikimi proceeds to return her kiss note or love phone to her after introducing herself again. Shikimi requests Guri to add her to the same circle Seiji's harem is in, and Seiji worries that Guri would accept the request without a question. Things turn out to be a little unusual, when Guri actually turns down the request for once, claiming that Shikimi has no warmth for love, unlike Akane and Yuzu, who are already a part of the circle. Shikimi leaves for the time being, claiming that she will be back to settle matters later, and Seiji, who was hurt previously, suddenly is revealed to be not breathing. Seiji wakes up in a different world where he meets the cat guy and some other people, including Tiara from earlier. He indulges in a conversation with the others about the matters with Guri, and later wakes up in the real world again, headbutting Yuzu in the process. After the revival, Seiji proceeds to live his life while telling Guri more about how the concept of love actually works. Seiji meets up with Shikimi again while he was at the beach sometime later, and she confronts him about his effects on Akane, as he made her a lot more lame than she used to be. Shikimi also revealed the rivalry between the Hiyama and Kicho Ogasaki families, and how Seiji's presence has interfered with that. Later, Guri makes Seiji attend a school horror run at nighttime alongside Akane and Yuzu, with the intention of getting a couple together in a couple matchup games. The crew gets inside the building, where they come across the couple who claims that they're going through the problem of people not accepting their relationship. Things tend to seem just normal, and Akane seems to be more curious about the couple than the game. Guri looks around with her Ghostbuster costume, and Yuzu, who was already trembling, gets even more scared when actual ghosts enter the equation. Seiji, who was holding his own so far, loses it after seeing a ghost as well, and our little Ghostbuster game turns into more of a being chased by ghosts. The crew gets chased by multiple ghosts around multiple courses until they get separated when Akane and Guri teleport to the rooftop somehow. Finding the moment fitting, Akane confronts Guri about whether she actually loves Seiji or not, and Guri's uncertainty makes Akane tell her to stay away from Seiji. Guri seems to be unsure about things as well, while Yuzu, who was with Seiji, turns out to be too scared to even move her legs. Seiji offers to carry Yuzu, to which she reluctantly agrees, and makes a little wholesome moment with Seiji-kun, who she is definitely not interested in. Definitely. The pair reach the school rooftop as well, alongside the random couple, to witness that Guri and Akane had already beaten up literally every single ghost present in the building. I feel bad for the ghosts at this point. Akane takes the time to tell Guri more about how love actually works, making her wonder about her feelings for real this time, and proceeds to get pissed off at Seiji as usual for carrying Yuzu on his back, calling him a homewrecker. Seiji's chaotic life continues as he proceeds to live with these psycho girls in his life with multiple problems, hoping that time would fix things somehow on its own.